That same season, however, Kyle began to show that his bad boy image, becoming more arrogant, becoming more of an aggressive driver, like with two cases wrecking Dale Earnhardt Jr. at Richmond, and as well as complaining that with racing with Carl Edwards at Bristol. It showed that Kyle's image begins to change, and it continued to change in next season in 2009. In 2009, Kyle returned to full-time driving in the Nationwide Series as well as full-time in the Cup Series as well. In the Cup Series, Kyle was not as consistent as good as he was in 2008. However, he managed to get a hometown win at Las Vegas, and also with sweeping Bristol, and as well as getting another win at Richmond, which was on his birthday. But other than that, Kyle was pretty inconsistent in the season, having 9 top 5s and 13 top 10s. He failed to make the chase, and he was forced to finish 13th in the points. However, his nationwide season, on the other hand, was extremely good, probably one of the best nationwide seasons of all time. During that same year, Kyle was able to get 9 wins, 25 top 5s, 30 top 10s out of the 35 races, and he was able to win the Nationwide Championship. And another impressive stat, he was able to get 11 or 12 consecutive top 2 finishes in the middle of the season, which was really well. And out of that time, he was able to win 3 races at Nashville, which was famous, where he smashed the guitar at Victory Lane, and New Hampshire, and in Gateway International Raceway. So it was a very impressive stat. And then in the Truck Series, he ran part-time 15 of the 25 races with 7 wins, 11 top 5s, and 13 top 10s. In 2010, in the Cup Series, Kyle showed an extremely remarkable time in the NASCAR Top 3 Series. Despite having kind of an up and down season in 2010, Kyle was able to get 3 wins during that season, and once again was able to make the chase, but had to come home 8th in points after an inconsistent end of the season, and with controversy with his image of being more aggressive, flipping off NASCAR officials, and his inappropriate language on the radio. In the Busch Series that same year, Kyle won the most races out of any of his nationwide seasons. He was able to win 13 races during that same season, running 29 of the 35 races that same year with 22 top 5s, 25 top 10s, and with his consistency able to finish 3rd in the points. In the Truck Series that same year, he was able to get 8 more wins in the Truck Series with 13 top 5s and 14 top 10s, with a combined total of his wins in the 2010 season of 24 wins. 3 in the Cup, 13 in Nationwide, and 8 in the Truck. That was pretty good. Actually, that was actually a record. No one has even broke that, and probably will never break that. But that's all I have to say about his 2010 season. Let's go on to his 2011 season. Another feat that no driver has accomplished was able to win all races on the same weekend, which he accomplished at Bristol, winning the Truck race, the Nationwide race, and the Cup race. In 2011, Kyle continued to drive remarkably in his career. In his Cup season, he was able to score 4 wins during that season, including the inaugural race at Kentucky. He was able to get a win at Bristol, Richmond, and Michigan. However, once again, he had an inconsistent run in the chase, and due to his controversy, which I'll talk about in a minute, kind of failed to get him into championship contention. During the Nationwide Series, he ran 20 of the 34 races, having 8 wins, 17 top 5s, and 18 top 10s. Basically just business as usual in that year. And then the Truck Series, he had 6 wins, 11 top 5s, and 13 top 10s. However, Kyle Busch has gone through a series of conflicts during the 2011 season. One of the first incident was with Kevin Harvick at Richmond at Darlington, where he just turned dead left after Kevin made a bump and run on him and intentionally wrecked him. And then, of course, there was a incident after the race. Another incident that he had was with outside the track, where he was cited for reckless driving near Trotman, North Carolina, where he was driving 128 miles an hour in a 45 mile an hour speed limit zone. As well with screaming expletives and, verbally abusing his team on the radio. But one of the worst out of all the incidents came in Texas in the Truck Series in 2011, where after the caution, during the caution laps, after being, after accidentally getting into the wall by Ron Hornaday, Kyle Busch just, during the caution, intentionally wrecked Ron Hornaday into the wall, ending his championship hopes. And as well as Kyle was suspended for the Nationwide race as well as the Cup race in Texas. Kyle was able to finish 12th in the points at the end of his Cup Series season because of it. In 2012, Kyle, after so many incidents in 2011, with the warnings from NASCAR and as well with Mars, his sponsor, almost leaving because of the Ron Hornaday incident, Kyle kind of stayed quiet throughout the whole season. But he was not as good as he was in the previous seasons. In the Nationwide Series, Kyle has not won a single race during that season because he was in his own equipment, sharing a ride with his brother Kurt Busch, and as well as only running 3 races in the Truck Series. Once again, he did not win a race. And in the Cup season, he was only able to win 1 race, which was at Richmond. However, he had a terrible summer of 2012, being very inconsistent and as well as not making the chase after being beat by Jeff Gordon at Richmond. At that season, he was able to get 1 win, 13 top 5s, and 20 top 10s. But despite all this, he was able to have a very good chase for the chase season, despite not being in it. He had a lot of chances to win, but either bad luck or inconsistencies, had not made him happen that way. But he finished at the end of the season 13th in the points. In 2013, in the Nationwide Series, Kyle went back to Joe Gibbs Racing's equipment in order to win again, I guess. And then, as a result, he also was able to run more races in the Truck Series as well. But in 2013, in the Cup Series, Kyle was doing well once again. He was able to win 4 races at 4 different tracks at California, Texas, Watkins Glen, and Atlanta. Throughout the season, he was able to get 16 top 5s and 22 top 10s. And with his consistency during that season, he was able to finish that season 4th in the points. And during his Nationwide season, he had a great number with 12 wins during that season, with 21 top 5s and 22 top 10s. And that's also in that season. And in the trucks, he was able to get 5 more wins with 8 top 5s and 9 top 10s. So yeah, Kyle was back on top once again, but unfortunately during the next season in 2014, he will go low again. So let's talk about one of his worst seasons in Cup, 2014. In 2014, Kyle did not do well throughout the Cup season. He only scored 1 win at California, only had 9 top 5s and 15 top 10s, and and had much lower consistency than any of his other seasons. But however, despite his inconsistencies, he was able to finish 10th in the points at the end of the season. But despite this, he did have a good nationwide season with 7 wins and 25 top 5 finishes and 10 finishes that season, and as well as getting 7 wins in the Truck Series, with having also 9 top 5 and 10 finishes that season. So, however, let's talk about a new beginning for Kyle, which was in 2015. In 2015, in the Xfinity Series race at Daytona, Kyle unfortunately hit the wall head-on during the infield at Daytona, and he broke his leg during that process. Because of that, Kyle was forced to miss the first third of the season, or the first 11 races in the Cup Series season, with drivers, I think mainly David Reagan, replacing him during that ride while he recovers. However, once he came back at Charlotte, at first, he did not do as well with inconsistencies, but he was able to pick it up during the middle of the season, with scoring 4 wins during that time with Sonoma, and 3 consecutive wins at Kentucky, New Hampshire, and Indianapolis. And as well as having a consistency throughout the rest of the season, and he was able to get his first Cup Series championship after winning Homestead that same year. And as well with the Xfinity and Truck Series career, he was able to get 6 wins in the Xfinity Series with 11 top 5s and 10s. And then in the Truck Series, he was able to get 2 more wins with 3 top 5s and 10s. So, and also Busch made the announcement that he will no longer compete in the Xfinity Series restrictor plate races because of his injury. So let's talk about his next business as usual season, 2016. In 2016, Kyle basically drove his business as usual. Throughout that season, Kyle was able to get 4 wins in that season at Martinsville, Texas, Kansas, and another Brickyard 400. Was very consistent throughout the year with 17 top 5s, 25 top 10s, and at the end of the season, he was able to come home 3rd in the points. In his Xfinity stats, he had 10 wins with 14 top 5s, and as well as 14 top 10s that same season. And then in trucks, he was able to get 2 more wins with 3 top 5s and 10s that season. So, but let's talk about another great season he had, which was 2017. In 2017, Kyle struggled in the first 20 races of the Cup Series season, failing to get a win during that time. And even Kyle pointed out after losing Talladega with his 3rd place finish, he said, "We got to win at a real racetrack," and which was at Kansas, but he failed to win there too. But I guess he finally won at a real racetrack at Pocono, his first win there. And he was able to get 4 more wins during that season at Bristol, once again sweeping the weekend like he did in 2010. Also getting a win at New Hampshire, Dover, and the inaugural night race at Martinsville. As well as with having 14 top 5s and 22 top 10s, but finished 2nd in points to Martin Truex Jr. During his Xfinity season, he scored 5 wins with 8 top 5s and 9 top 10s that season. And also in the Cup season, he was able to win the All-Star race, the $1 million bonus that same year as well. And also in the Truck Series, he won 3 races with 4 top 5s and 5 top 10s. So let's talk about probably his best season in Cup, which was 2018. Kyle's best year, in my opinion, in the Cup Series came in 2018. That year, Kyle was able to win 8 races. I don't think it was at 8 different tracks, though. He was able to sweep Richmond that year and was able to win at Texas, Richmond. Well, yeah, won both races at Richmond. He won Bristol, Charlotte, Pocono, and as well as the end of the season at Phoenix. But however, he struggled at Homestead a bit and finished 4th in the points out of the final 4 contenders. But despite this, he had a phenomenal season, so with 22 top 5s and 28 top 10 finishes. During his Xfinity season, he was able to score 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 5 top 10s because of NASCAR's new rule that they're only allowed to run 7 races a year. And as well in the Truck Series, he scored 2 wins with 4 top 5s and 4 top 10s. So let's talk about the next season, which was another championship season, 2019. At this point, with Kyle's success and his records that he broke, I'm just going to call him King Kyle. In 2019, King Kyle was able to score 5 wins during that season at 5 different tracks, at Phoenix, California, and Bristol. And also in California, Kyle was able to score his 200th win in NASCAR's top 3 series. And then he was able to win Bristol, beating his brother Kurt Busch, winning at Pocono, and then at the end of the season, he was able to win Homestead and win his 2nd NASCAR Cup Series championship. That was 17 top 5s and 27 top 10 finishes. In the Xfinity Series, Kyle drove once again for 7 races, winning 4 races with 5 top 5s and 10s that year. And then in the Truck Series, he drove for 5 races and won all 5 of them that he entered. So that's all I have to say about his 2019 season. So let's go on to his current years. As of today, Kyle still continues to run all top 3 series in the season. Kyle drove so far in his Cup season the first 4 races. Despite not winning, Kyle has 2 top 5s during that year, but he was able to get 1 win in the Truck Series. And as well as with some drivers, making a bet or setting up a contest for a Cup driver entering a truck race to see if anybody can beat Kyle Busch. I think it was like a $50,000 or $100,000 bet. And he only ran 1 Xfinity race so far, but he was able to finish the top 5 in that one. So let's talk about the conclusion. Kyle is currently married to Samantha, who he married on December 31st of 2010 in Chicago. They have 1 child together. His name is Brexton Locke Busch, who was born on May 18th, 2015. And unfortunately, on November of 2018, Samantha suffered a miscarriage after attempting to get their 2nd child. His nickname is Rowdy due to, in Days of Thunder, the character Rowdy Burns with his aggressive driving style. And he was also nicknamed the Candy Man due to his M&Ms sponsorship that he had since 2008. He was also nicknamed Wild Thing, once again, for his aggressive driving style. Despite his aggressive driving style, being mean to officials, pissing off other drivers, his rival with other drivers, and probably being the most aggressive and villainous driver on the track, Kyle is actually one of the best on the track. So, but I guess that's kind of cool since he's like the main villain of the track. But with his bad boy image, I would say he has to be the best on the track too, and that's what he is. And NASCAR needs some bad guys, and with Kyle Busch being as good as he is and being as villainous as he is, Kyle's a good bad guy. So let's go talk about his stats. So Kyle Busch's stats in the top 3 series looks like this. In the Cup Series, he had 56 wins, 202 top 5s, 298 top 10s, but he's, once again, with all top 3 series, he's still active, so still more to come. Out of 538 starts with 32 poles. And then in the Xfinity Series, he was able to get 96 wins, 217 top 5s, 255 top 10s, 68 poles out of 353 starts, And then in the Truck Series, he won 57 races, 99 top 5s, 120 top 10s, 22 poles out of 151 starts, and what I present to you, one of the greatest villainous drivers on the track, or nicknamed Rowdy, Kyle Busch. That's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you next time.